Switch today?
No.
Damn.
Kids get a night off.
Yeah.
Go crush some kids in Pokemon Unite now.
That's why Vince is in a big rush. Welcome to the Fantasy Beer League, where you get half-decent advice from half-decent guys. I'm your host, Sean Joyce. With me, as always, is Glockenspiel enthusiast Justin Giel, our resident fantasy football expert, Matt Senni, and tonight's big loser, Danny Verico. Any hurt feelings you want to get out there, Danny, before we start it up?
Now, I got hit with a few injuries this week, which definitely didn't help. I would have lost either way because, I played the highest scoring team this week. And I mean, Zeke really didn't have to do that to me, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. Here we are.
Yeah,
One asshole.
For those at home, it was going to be someone else in the league who had Zeke going Monday night, but he got a Monday night miracle. He needed 26.8, I believe, from Zeke, and he got just that. Danny ended up being our lowest scoring team by 0.14 points.
Incredible.
Jeez.
I feel your pain, man. I lost in a league by 0.34. I lost in another league by 0.9. Part of the game.
Yep, that's fantasy.
Stay strong, my brother. We got to get through it together.
That's fantasy.
So let's draw this punishment.
Ooh.
Take a close range drive from Vince.
Close range drive.
Of course you
from
would get
Vince.
that.
Yeah.
Are we using a real golf ball?
Vince.
Yeah, I'd say no.
Vince says no.
Okay.
Vince has like foam
what?
balls.
Okay.
Hard foam.
I was gonna say because
hard plastic.
that breaks skin and that would really.
I think it'd be
really hurt.
horrific.
But
Yeah.
foam ball, I think I can handle a foam ball.
All right.
Do it up.
Vince, just for reference, what is your driving speed?
About 160 miles an hour.
Oh, so a Tour Pro speed.
Okay, that was going to be my next
Unbelievable.
question. All right, so it's going to be a very hard golf ball coming at you.
Yeah, that's all right. I mean, as for those of you who watch, I did the paintball.
Yes,
last
that's
year,
true.
So
Awesome.
we've been here before.
Yeah, that took us as getting a beating.
Yeah, he just loves getting in the ass.
So why don't you go rest on your hiney on a nice soft couch before we drill into you later.
All right, sounds good.
Baby. And Justin, why don't you catch us up on the fines owed from last week's episode?
Sure. We got a lot this week. So, Sean, you owe $2. Tyson Williams did not fumble in week 1.
Yeah, I thought he did, but he did not.
And those are all the fines.
All right, and Senni,
I thought there were going to be a lot. I was fooled.
can you read the poll results from last week?
Okay. Fuck the man. Quote
Yes.
Matt Senni. 77% say yes, which is accurate.
Wow.
Should be higher.
Yes, it should. Has Matt Ryan gone from Matty Ice to Matty Not Nice? 91% are correct in saying yes, because that motherfucker is garbage now.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Are you worried about Antonio Gibson? 44% yes to 55% no. Yes, I know that's not 100. Will Justin Fields lower the value of Bears skill players?
Let's see who was right, because he 100% did.
It's about 62% yes to 38% no.
38% were wrong. They
Yeah.
had he had 50, I believe. I don't want to get it exactly wrong, but he had one more passing yard than they did sack yardage. It was like 57 to 56.
That's horrific.
Yeah.
Will Jared Goff bortle the hashtag Lions to fantasy success? An even 50-50 split exactly.
Some weeks he does, some weeks he doesn't.
Yeah.
They almost beat the Ravens.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, I don't even want to think about the North. Who would you rather have for the rest of the season? 60% say A.J. Brown.
Oh.
10% say Julio.
Okay.
And 30% say neither.
Wow, okay. So A.J. Brown's hurt now, so
Yeah.
it's either Julio or no one, I guess. We'll talk about that
It's
later,
the football version of Nerf or Nothing.
Yeah.
Are you done with CH? About 73% yes to about 27% no.
Had a nice game on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm going to keep him in. Would you be able to tackle Bill Belichick if he lined up under center?
This is a big one for you, Justin.
2 and 3 are lying and saying yes. Because I do not think
Okay,
that
no,
they could.
67% of people are correct.
I don't think so.
He's fucking 69 years old.
I don't care.
Nice.
I don't think so.
He's a brittle old head
I'm
coach.
saying no. That's me. Anyway, yeah, 2 and 3 say yes.
His 40 time is probably 7 seconds.
You think it's that low? I think he's walking the 40.
I thought you were giving him a lot of credit when you said 7.
Yeah, he's going for a stroll.
Did you know A.J. Green was a Cardinal?
No.
About 79% are right there with me because I did not know.
You had a big game
I like
this
the
past
Cardinals
weekend.
a little less now knowing that.
How many people didn't know?
21% say no.
Oh, 21 said no. I thought you said 71
No,
said no.
79
I was like, wow.
did
okay.
no.
Okay.
You know I like that key lime? Question mark.
I do.
6 and
See what
10
the- okay.
say yes. 4 and 10 no. Does Bill Belichick live to make rookie quarterbacks' lives miserable? I was gonna say this is an obvious one. 2 and 3 say yes.
Should have been higher.
Yeah, I think it should have been
Should've been
higher
100%.
It should have
too.
been 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
You should have just made it yes and yes.
Does being athletic as an adult matter for the average Joe? 27% yes to 73% no.
Most people say no.
Because they're not athletic, that's why.
Probably true. Those are the polls?
Yep.
All right. Before we jump into football talk, just want to do one last bit of housekeeping. We are waiting for the season-long punishment to be posted. Vince had a bit of a snag with the upload process, but he's looking into it. Hopefully we'll have that up sooner rather than later, but keep an eye out. It's a very special episode. You better subscribe so you know when it's uploaded. The first game we have this week is the Washington versus the Atlanta. Washington struggled against Buffalo on Sunday, but I expect a bounce-back performance against a bad Atlanta team. Antonio Gibson had a 73-yard receiving touchdown. Do you expect him to get more involvement in the passing game going forward, Justin?
I don't know. Yes. I'm going to say yes, especially with this game. Just because I feel like it has the potential to be a shootout, especially if Washington's defense doesn't play the way that they're capable of. So I say yes moving forward.
I'm going to say no. I do not like the fact that he is limited in the passing game. He only has 6 catches on the year. J.D. McKissick is still heavily involved in this offense, and I really don't understand why. I don't know why they act like he's James White because he's not. He's J.D. McKissick. Antonio Gibson should get more volume, but until he does, I will have inherent concerns about him.
Sure.
Without that huge play, I mean, he has a very pedestrian day. So we'll see what happens. I think this game is actually going to be more even and not as high scoring. Yeah, I'm nervous about Antonio Gibson. I think that if he were more involved in the passing game, he could be a top 10 player, but his limited upside in receptions is just too much of a glaring detractor for me to rank him ever in the top 10. Atlanta beat the Giants on a last-second field goal on Sunday, but the offense struggled to move the ball for most of the game, and has for most of the season, honestly. Are you expecting more of the same this week?
Like I said, if Washington's defense doesn't show up, I could see this turning into a shootout. If Washington's defense does show up and play the way that they're able to, I see more of the same. I see them struggling. We just read Matty Not So Nice. And with that, I think Ridley is the only one I can put in my lineup with any sort of confidence.
I agree with that. I have not seen the Washington defense that I was promised. They're one of the worst defenses in the league, and that's not an opinion. That's just a matter of fact.
Numbers fact, yeah.
They are terrible. They haven't done anything to warrant any confidence in thinking that their defense is going to perform, nor have they done anything to make me think that I should pause before locking someone into my lineup. Atlanta just happens to also suck. So I agree, Calvin Ridley's the only one that I'm 100% starting. I think Cordero Patterson is a nice little pickup, someone to stash on your bench. He has 7 carries in each game this season, 7 targets in each of the last 2 games. He looks better than Mike Davis with the ball in his hands, and he's going to catch more passes than Mike Davis. So if there's anybody else on this team that I'm looking to roster other than Calvin Ridley and Kyle Pitts, it would be Cordero Patterson. As I said, not rushing him into my lineup, just an observation. I think Atlanta wins this game 20-16.
I'm going to go Washington.
I think Atlanta's trash. I think Washington's going to win.
Okay. Now let's talk about the team the Falcons beat last week, my New York Giants. Giants take on the Saints. Fuck the Saints this week. We finally saw the version of Saquon that we've been waiting for, but is there anyone else on this team we should be starting, Justin?
If he's healthy, I like Shepard, but I know he got banged up this past weekend.
He did. So did Darius Slayton. Not that you'd be starting him anyway, but the wide receivers are banged up on that team.
Yeah. No, I'm really not big on anyone else apart from Saquon.
Yeah.
I know Danny Dimes was having a good couple games to start off the year.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, and from a fantasy perspective, he didn't have a terrible game
Sure.
on Sunday either.
I think he was third quarterback going into this week on a points per game basis.
Perhaps. I know he was in the
with the
20s.
rushing value.
Yeah, right. He adds a lot in rushing, and that's
Yeah.
why he has value.
Sure.
Is he a permanent fit in a real life quarterback situation? Probably not. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not sold on him yet. But from a fantasy aspect, I do like Daniel Jones. It's just it's hard to get him in your lineup when there's so many other options. He's a good streaming option. I don't know that I'm doing it this week. I think the Saints defense is pretty good. Also, fuck Evan Ingram. He's out 100%. Vince and I were at the game, and people were cheering, myself included, when he would jog off the field.
Incredible.
Yeah. Can you imagine how that feels as a player?
Horrific.
Yeah, it's got to be awful.
He's brought it on himself. I don't feel bad at all. Similarly, though, with the Giants situation and Saquon Barkley, is there anyone on the Saints that you're starting other than Alvin Kamara?
No. Short answer.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe the defense this week. I think the defense is a nice streaming option. But in terms of offensive firepower, it's not there. And even when Michael Thomas eventually does come back, it won't be this week. I want to see it before I throw him in my lineup. I think the Giants are going to win 1-0. Fuck the Saints.
Okay, I'm going to go Saints.
No, I hope you're right, and it's like some garbage win from the Giants. Like,
2-0.
2-0.
They get a safety on the
That's
first
I'm
play.
thinking safety, and that's it. Don't even score after that.
If you guys haven't caught on, I'm just going to pick against the Saints every week, even if I don't believe it.
It's like me picking the Jets every week last year.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Next, let's talk about a team similar to the Jets, the Texans. They play the Bills this week. Davis Mills is going to start again for the Texans. You're starting Brandon Cooks, and that's it.
Yep.
Can you name anyone else on the team?
That's so
Senni?
funny. I knew this was going to be a Texans question. Because I assume that...
Deshaun Watson does not count.
Correct. Because that's who I would have said, obviously. Yeah. No, I don't think I can.
Okay. The only one that you've heard of is Mark Ingram. I didn't think you knew he was there.
Which is funny because I think I picked him up on my bench.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I wasn't going to play him.
You also read a poll about him last week.
Yeah,
It
but he
doesn't
didn't know he
matter.
was on the
It doesn't
Texans. yeah.
I literally picked him up, I think, last week to sit on my bench for somebody who was like out for the year.
Yeah. They also have Phillip Lindsey, who you've probably heard of
Yeah.
before, David Johnson, Rex Burkhead. Can't think of anybody else you would know.
I can't
Would you
think of
play any of those people?
No, exactly.
Exactly.
Brandon Cooks is the only one that's worth starting. Who are we starting from the Bills here, though, Justin? Emmanuel Sanders and Cole Beasley each had over 20 points last week, and Zach Moss outproduced Devin Singletary to the tune of 18.1 points to 3.6.
So I'm not starting either of the running backs.
Okay.
I don't think that's repeatable week in and week out.
I agree. Too risky.
Yeah, Beasley seems to be the guy that's always getting those targets. Third down guy, he's your man. So I'd like Beasley as a flex, and then Emmanuel Sanders maybe in a deeper league as a flex option. And then obviously you're starting Diggs and you're starting Allen.
Yeah, I think that Cole Beasley has a higher floor than Emmanuel Sanders for sure, even though Emmanuel Sanders is technically the wide receiver 2 on the team. Sanders may offer more upside and can get you those boom type weeks. But I do agree. I like Cole Beasley more, especially in year-long formats as a guy to fill in a flex position. I am a bit pissed off about Stephon Diggs, though, I got to say. He has not produced the way that I thought he would thus far this
As
season.
second round talent? Third round talent?
Third, yeah. I mean, he was the number 1 receiver in fantasy last season, and he is not producing that volume thus far. I'm sticking with it, though. I think you got to keep him in your lineups. And
Yeah, I don't think you can bench
trust that days are going to get better like they did for Josh Allen last week. We knew it was going to come. It just
went the fuck off.
Huge week.
Yep. I think the Bills are going to win 38-23.
Yeah, I'm going Bills.
How could they possibly lose this game, honestly?
Oh, yeah. Next, we have the Lions and Bears. Oh, my.
This game is Da Bears.
This
This game's gonna suck.
Yeah, it probably will. Has DeAndre Swift entered set it and forget it status, Justin?
I think so. I think he's him and Hawkinson, I think, are the only bright spots on that team.
Jamal Williams, too. I like Jamal Williams as a flex option.
That's true, yeah.
They're each involved, and they're always going to be down. This week, they might not be, actually. They might not need to throw as much. I'm not sure. But anyway, DeAndre Swift has 23 targets through the first 3 games. I love that volume. I Was not happy. I had to draft him in one league. There weren't any other running backs that I wanted around his area. So I ended up taking him, and I was mad that I did, but I'm wrong. There's a first time for everything. So I'm happy that I was wrong about it. You cannot take DeAndre Swift out of your lineup. And if you have Jamal Williams, I think he's a fine flex play every week. Mm-hmm. Last week, the Bears failed to top 100 yards of offense against the Browns. Are there any players you're starting with confidence until Andy Dalton returns? I can't believe I'm asking that question.
I don't even know what to say to that, honestly.
I'm going to say no just because I don't want to say yes to David Montgomery.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I guess
And to say that with a team that has Allen Robinson.
I know,
tough.
but
I know, that's how I feel.
Allen Robinson, I think, would
He
be...
deserves so much better.
Yeah, well, I've always felt that way. I feel like regardless of who the quarterback is this week, he'll probably be in the 30s for me, Allen Robinson. So I would say he's a flex play. Mm-hmm. He should be higher than that, especially against the Lions, who do not have a good secondary. But I'm nervous about it. Yeah. I would not have any confidence in those guys. And last I heard, there's no clear idea who the starter is going to be this week. So it could be Justin Fields, it could be Andy Dalton, or it could be Nick Foles.
Damn, you mean Rex Grossman's not getting a start?
I don't think so. Rex Grossman's not walking through that door, Justin. My mind may change once I know who the starter is, but for now I'm taking the Lions 27-13.
I think no matter who plays quarterback for the Bears, it's going to be the Lions.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'll go with the Lions too.
All right, next up we have the Panthers and the Cowboys.
I think this is going to be a good game.
I think so too. Panthers are a sneaky good team. They're off to a 3-0 start. They unfortunately lost Christian McCaffrey for multiple weeks due to a hamstring injury.
He's cursing this league.
Yeah, I feel really bad for people to take him there.
I drafted him first overall last year. He played 3 games.
Yeah. A lot of people did it.
He gets hurt.
Hey, man, relax, okay? I got him in a league. That's the
I
league I
know.
lost by .34. I would have won easily if that motherfucker didn't get hurt.
Yeah.
Sucks every time a guy gets hurt, especially non-contact soft tissue injuries. You never know how long those are going to take for him to recover from.
And you didn't even see anything like pop on his injury.
No, it looked like he was just doing like a little juke move. But, yeah, it's a tough situation. Obviously, Chuba Hubbard is the number one waiver wire claim in every league format.
I wish his first name was Chuba.
Me too, Chuba Hubba. Instead, we got the Chubes. In the absence of McCaffrey, how do you expect the offense to change, Justin?
Obviously, I see it taking a little bit of a dip, but Hubba looked good last week. Hey,
Hubba Bubba.
Yeah, Hubba was bubbling or whatever. I think he looked good.
Hubba.
So, and I mean, the team's been playing well all year, and against a pretty bad Cowboys defense, I think they can do well.
Yeah, I think the passing game is going to be the same. I think that DJ Moore is still a clear number one wide receiver, top 10 wide receiver so far this year. I think he keeps that up. I'm very, very nervous about Robbie Anderson, regardless of the injury status. I think he has 6 catches on the season, and he has that one long touchdown. And other than that, he has been a major disappointment. So he is not in any of my starting lineups. He's not in my top 40 of wide receivers. I'm not playing him this week. That means he's going to score 3 touchdowns.
Yep.
But, yeah, even against the Cowboys, I do not trust Robbie Anderson at all. I love DJ Moore, and I think that Chuba Hubbard has a chance to finish in the top 10 of running backs while Christian McCaffrey's out, but definitely top 15. Cowboys crushed the Eagles, but it was a disappointing day for CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper. While Dalton Schultz secured 2 touchdowns.
Who?
What do you make of this, Justin?
I think it's bound to happen in some weeks. I mean, the Cowboys have so much firepower on that offense. There's a lot of mouths to feed. So, I mean, any week could really be a down week. I don't see it happening week in and week out.
Any week could be a Dalton Schultz week, especially in the month of September. You had Yom Kippur and the other one.
Rosh Hashanah?
Rosh Hashanah.
The other one.
Right, so shalom to you, Dalton
Sammy's
Schultz.
cursing us out right
We might
now.
have to cut that.
No, I don't think so.
Nah, yeah, we're good.
It's all in good fun. He's definitely Jewish, Dalton Schultz.
Probably.
No. Okay. I think the Cowboys win 24-17.
Yeah, I'm going to go Cowboys too.
Yeah, same, of course.
Colts play the Dolphins this week. Colts lost to the Titans on Sunday, and after back-to-back games in which he's failed to eclipse 10 or more fantasy points, how concerned are you with Jonathan Taylor, Justin?
I mean, the passing offense, or the team seems to be more pass-heavy, which obviously isn't going to play into his favor, but I think it might still be too early to hit the panic button. I'm still a believer. I still like Jonathan Taylor. I just want to see it for a couple more. All right, I want to see how these next couple weeks pan out.
I'm nervous about it. We talked about this last season where it was some weeks were Jonathan Taylor weeks, some weeks were Nyheim Hines weeks. And I talked about it again in the preseason because I thought that Jonathan Taylor was going too high. And this is one spot of drafting where I'm going to take a victory lap because I figured that things were going to be this way. There may be a point in the season where Jonathan Taylor is breaking off those 100-yard games, 2 touchdown performances again. I don't see it quite yet. So for now, he's a fringe top 20 running back for me every week. I'd be nervous about it if I were a Jonathan Taylor fantasy owner, and I may be looking to trade with somebody at this point. If you drafted him, you have to keep him in your lineup, obviously. But I don't like the way that things are going for him. Sure. Also, my boy Michael Pittman Jr. has 12 targets in each of the last 2 games. Just want to say that I love being right, and I was right about him. So in deeper leagues, I think he's a good wide receiver 3 to flex type player.
I'm surprised he was dropped in ours.
Who dropped him?
I picked him up. I don't know. I didn't care who dropped him.
Yeah, why would you? Dolphins were surprisingly efficient against the Raiders in their overtime loss. From a fantasy perspective, anyway. I know Jalen Waddle had like 12 catches for 50-something yards. Which
insane.
Is not efficient, but fantasy points. I mean, you got 17-something fantasy points.
Can't complain about that.
So let me just ask this very vague question, Justin. Is this offense actually better with Jacoby Brissett under center?
I think more efficient is probably, like you were talking about efficiency. I think it's more efficient under Jacoby Brissett. Mm-hmm. They're not going to... What was that? It glooped. They're not going to put up stellar numbers week in and week out, but I think they'll put up serviceable numbers because he's going to have those short passes, and in a PPR league, just going to continue to rack up points.
Yeah. One thing I've noticed since Jacoby Brissett has taken over is that Mike Gesicki is much more involved than he was. He's been heavily targeted, 18 over the past 2 games, and he only had 2 targets in week 1 when Tua was his quarterback. Jalen Waddle I like from, just getting a ton of volume. I mean, he may have those brutal games where it's 50-something yards, but if it's double-digit catches, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
The running backs, I still don't like any of them. I'm not a Myles Gaskin believer, but if you are, I mean, he is a fine flex option, I suppose. I'm picking the Colts to win, get their first win, actually. Can't believe they're 0-3, but I think this is going to be the week they get it done. Going to be a close game, though, 24-23.
Yeah, I'm going Colts, too.
I'm going to go with Miami.
Okay. Next, we have the Browns and the Vikings. The Browns dominated the Bears on Sunday, thanks in part to a 27.5-point performance from Kareem Hunt.
That scared me. Vince had him.
Oh, Vince had him?
Yeah.
Yeah, he went off, man.
Yeah, I know.
Nick Chubb had only 8.4 points.
Fuck him.
But 22 carries. The volume is there, so don't worry. And we know that he's not very involved in the passing game, so it's a little to be expected. Unfortunately, he's kind of reliant on touchdowns to be a fantasy asset, but he does score a lot, so I'm not panicking about the low numbers. Odell returned to action on Sunday. Does he belong in our lineups this week, Justin?
I would say rostered. I don't know that I would jump to put him in my lineup just yet, but he looked good. Looked good in his first game back. He went out on a couple go routes, which I know is what he got hurt on last year. So I would roster him. I'm not sure that I'm starting him, though.
5 catches for 77 yards on 9 targets. Nice to see him play like that, but I do want to see it again before I throw him into my lineup.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Vikings offense has been great so far this season. Kirk Cousins, unvaccinated Cousins, is a man on fire. Alexander Mattison filled in nicely for the injured Dalvin Cook. So if you have Dalvin Cook, you should have Alexander Mattison. If you're an idiot like me and didn't, it's your own fault. And I take full responsibility for my actions.
Yeah, I grabbed him in ours.
Yeah. Is Kirk Cousins a legit fantasy starter, Justin?
I think he's serviceable. He's been playing well. He's not turning the ball over, and he's getting the ball to the receivers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Adam Thielen has been a touchdown machine. Justin Jefferson finally had the game that you've been expecting from him. Cousins has 8 touchdowns and 0 interceptions so far this season. The only detractor is that he offers virtually nothing in terms of rushing value.
Unless it's like a goal line play.
Yeah, it's very, very infrequent that he runs the ball at all. But, I mean, if he keeps throwing touchdowns at this pace, he's a good fill-in. He's a good for if a quarterback, God forbid, is injured in the next couple weeks, someone that I'd look to pick up. I think this should be a good game. I'll take Minnesota 26-25.
I want Minnesota, but my heart tells me it's going to be Cleveland.
I'm saying Minnesota.
All right, we got a good one next, boys. Titans play the Jets.
Ugh.
A.J. Brown was injured in the Titans' win over the Colts on Sunday. He's considered week to week. Do you expect Julio Jones to see an uptick in volume during his absence, Justin?
I say a slight uptick, but I still think this offense goes through Derrick Henry.
I don't think it's going to change at all in terms of how often they throw. I agree, it goes through Derrick Henry, but there were, I believe, 11 different receiving options targeted on Sunday for the Titans after A.J. Brown went down. So it's certainly a situation where they're going to spread it around, try to open up more holes for Derrick Henry. I don't think Julio Jones is going to be a target monster like he was in Atlanta. I don't see his role changing much just because A.J. Brown is out. The Jets are bad.
Yep.
Can you name anyone on this team, Senni?
Nope. I knew you were going to ask.
There's one player that should be named. Is this a week you consider starting Corey Davis, Justin?
I think so. The Titans' defense does not look great, so
Yeah.
I think this could be some garbage time points for him.
They allow the most fantasy points to wide receivers so far this season, so I am considering him as a flex option. There's no one else on the team that I would be. Titans are going to win 31-10.
Tighten up.
I was actually hoping you would tell me a player on the Jets. Tighten up.
The Corey
Corey
Davis.
Davis.
Yeah, someone else, because I realized that nobody else matters.
Yeah, no.
You could ask me again next week. I probably still won't know.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you who their quarterback is next month. I already asked you that
awesome.
before. I cleared my throat.
Oh, damn.
Chiefs play the Eagles this week. Chiefs are 1-2.
Yeah, it's great.
So are the Eagles.
That's to be expected.
Yeah. CEH finally had a good game last week, but we saw another poor performance from Tyreek Hill. Are you at all concerned about this, Justin?
I wouldn't say I'm concerned just because any week he's poised to have great numbers. Although, I mean, he's probably going to have Slay on him this upcoming week, so that could play as like a detriment to his numbers.
Uh-huh.
But the Eagles are bad.
They actually allow the fewest fantasy points to wide receivers so far this season, but it's the fucking Chiefs, man.
Yeah.
I have no concerns
Yeah.
about Tyreek Hill. I'd be more concerned about Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I feel like they wanted to get him involved. They wanted to get him going again. I have him in a couple leagues. I'm looking to trade him. I'm hoping that he has another good game on Sunday against the Eagles, and then, I'm going to sell high because I want out. I do not want that guy. Been enough of a sample size. He's not involved in the passing game. He doesn't score touchdowns. I still hate Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Same.
I don't care that he had a good game. It means nothing to me.
When I saw that Vince had him in his lineup, I was like, I'm running away with this week.
Oh, no.
And then
That's
I
so
didn't.
funny.
Well, that's the other thing that sucks is if you have him, you don't really have a better option.
yeah, I'm going to start him.
Yeah, you have to. There's not going to be another guy on your bench more than likely that you can just throw in.
Yeah.
So you have to stick with him, and that's why I'm trying to get a different piece so I don't have to start him anymore. We haven't seen much fantasy volume from the Eagles so far, Justin. Is this a week where you're looking to start a player on their team?
Maybe Hurts. I think that would be it.
Yeah, I do think Jalen Hurts is a top 10 fantasy quarterback each and every week. Even in his bad games, he produces with his legs. And, he looked terrible against the Cowboys. And then he got you some garbage time points.
Yep.
I think he might have had 20 points, around 20
Roughly,
points.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it was just about
That's a
20.
pretty solid day from a quarterback. So I 100% agree. I'm starting Jalen Hurts every week, set it and forget it. In terms of skill players, I like Devontae Smith's value, but he's not someone I'm trusting yet.
Yeah.
He's getting targeted, but it's not transitioning into fantasy points just yet. Miles Sanders is a flex option, I guess. He had 2 carries last week.
I mean, I wasn't big on him at all this season.
No, neither was I. I don't have any shares of him for a reason. He needs a big play to be fantasy relevant.
Yeah.
And it could happen this week. The Chiefs' defense is terrible. But I would not start him with any confidence. It would be more of a dart throw, if anything.
Yep.
I think the Chiefs are going to unload their frustrations. They win 50-23.
Yeah, I'm going Chiefs.
I want the Chiefs to win, but I think the Eagles are going to pull off some bullshit win.
I fucking hope you're
I
right.
really think so, dude. I really don't want them to, and I think they're going to pull off some bullshit win.
Anything can happen. I feel like the Chiefs have to be fucking pissed
They're
off.
significantly better than the Eagles in
They're
my
better,
It's
but
Andy
they're...
Reid going back to his old stomping
Oh, a
grounds, too.
revenge game. I forgot about that
If he's
narrative.
there, I think he was hospitalized after the game.
He's fine. Yeah, he got released yesterday. He's all good.
He's off the IR.
He's all good. Yeah, Andy Reid is back. let's talk about Thirsty Thursday. James Robinson. Fuck. Timeout. Rewind, Vince, in the editing process. Our Thursday night game this week is the Jags versus the Bengals.
100% forgot you. Never mind.
Very exciting.
Yes.
I'm never going to shit talk the Bengals again. So.
I'm gonna.
James Robinson is getting increased volume every week. He had 6 catches this past week, and I like this matchup against the Bengals. Though they've played better, I think that as long as he has involvement in the passing game, he's a guy I'm still starting. He's a mid running back 2 for me this week. Mm-hmm. Marvin Jones Jr. is the only other player on this team I would advise starting. He has at least 8 targets in each game. He has a good matchup against the Bengals this week. Their secondary is weak. I don't trust Laviska Shenault. I don't trust DJ Shark. Trevor Lawrence has not been good so far this season. But Marvin Jones Jr., solid fantasy player so far. He's a high-end wide receiver 3 for me. Today I'm drinking That IPA Show from Three Sons Brewing down in Florida. It's a collaboration with Slice, which is out of California, I believe.
Never even heard of Slice.
Well, you can have a slice of this in a second. It's a juicy, hazy IPA, but I got to be honest, it lacks a little bit in flavor. It has a nice mouthfeel, and the juiciness is definitely there. It's refreshing to drink, but in terms of like a standout citrus or hoppy flavor, I'm not really getting a whole lot. You can taste for yourself.
Sure.
I'm going to pick the Bengals to win this game. So after you taste, you can tell me about your beer, the Bengals, and who you think is going to win the game.
So, yeah, I'm not getting much from yours either. I am drinking Hoppin' Frog, Frog's Hollow Double Pumpkin Ale from, obviously, Hoppin' Frog Brewing, based out of Ohio. Fun fact, this beer actually won gold medal, the 2010 Great American Beer Festival, for a field beer.
Field beer.
I know a lot about beer. I have no idea what a fucking field beer is.
Okay, because I was sitting here thinking, what the fuck is a field beer? I thought it was just mint.
The only thing I could think of is like it's like a yam beer or like anything like that.
It means they brewed it in a field.
They very well.
That was my assumption.
If you brew it, they will come.
An ale brewed with pumpkin spices. So we got cinnamon, ginger, nutmeg, allspice, and clove. I really like pumpkin beers, and I think this hits all the flavors. I really enjoy it. It's nice and smooth. Very little carbonation, though.
Yeah, I agree.
But
field beers are any beers using vegetables as an adjunct in either the mash, kettle, primary, or secondary fermentation.
So like the yams.
So
yeah. Okay. So for the Bengals, honestly, I really like, if he goes, I like T. Higgins. I really like Jamar Chase. I think he found his chemistry with Joe Burrow. And as much as it pains me to say this, I really like Joe Mixon this week. And he's been playing very well this entire season. I've been a big hater on him, but he's proven me wrong. This week, I'm actually going to pick the Jags to win the game.
All right. We'll see.
Yeah.
Senni, what are you drinking, and who do you think is going to win the game?
So after a month of suffering through every other garbage flavor in this pack, I somehow saved the best for last, and I'm drinking the watermelon flavor from this name artisanal brew that I will unfortunately never forget. I actually think it's really good, and I typically don't like watermelon flavored beer that much. I fucking hate the Bengals.
Same.
I identify that my team is trash right now, but I refuse to acknowledge that they can win, so I am going to go with the Jags.
It is definitely the best of the 4.
Yeah. And
I don't think it's a fucking question.
I am not big on like watermelon flavored things.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's delicious.
It's much better than the other 3.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and check my ratings, but I might have liked that the best out of the 4 that I had as well when I had them.
Yeah, for sure.
I would agree. And now we'll transition into 2 teams that are good, the Cardinals and the Rams. This should be a good matchup.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good game.
Both undefeated teams. Kyler Murray has been excellent, but it has been a slow start to the season for DeAndre Hopkins. He's currently ranked 22nd in terms of fantasy wide receivers on the season. Do you have any concerns about him this week, Justin?
This week, maybe. I think he's still incredibly talented. Top 2 wide receiver in the league, talent-wise. But if he's going to have Ramsey on him this week, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I'm downgrading him a bit. You're obviously still starting him, but I'm tempering expectations this week. It's not a good matchup for him. I expect to see bigger games from guys like Christian Kirk and Rondale Moore.
Kirk had another big game this past week, I think.
I like Christian Kirk, man.
Yeah, Christian Kirk, and then AJ fucking Green had over 100 yards.
Yeah,
that's not repeatable.
No, it's not likely to continue happening, and he's bound to get hurt eventually. So there's a lot of risk with AJ Green, but I do like Christian Kirk. I do like Rondale Moore, and I like DeAndre Hopkins as a player and in season long formats. But this week is a week that I'm downgrading him a bit. He's more of a wide receiver too than a top tier elite wide receiver for me. Cooper Kupp has been unbelievable this season. He's matchup proof. He's currently the top wide receiver in fantasy.
Unreal.
Are you starting any of his teammates this week, Justin?
I would probably start Robert Woods.
I would not.
You would not.
I would not. He has been brutal.
He has been brutal, but I mean, I think this game is going to be a high-scoring game. And then, depending on your tight end, if you don't have a better option, I like Higbee. He scored last week, caught all 5 of his targets. Good fill-in if you need him.
Yeah, tight end's a shallow enough position that I'm okay with Higbee. But if I have Robert Woods, I am not starting him this week. I want to see it before I put him back in there, and I'd rather miss out on a get-right game than throw him back out there and get 10 or fewer points again.
Yeah.
He's not getting looks. He doesn't look like his old self. They even threw in fucking Deshaun Jackson last week. Van Jefferson's been more involved. Higbee's been more involved. If Darrell Henderson is back this week, I think he gets a lot of looks in the passing game. I'm very nervous about Robert Woods. I would not advise starting him until I see it happen.
Yeah.
I need to see a good game before I throw him back in my lineup. I think the Rams are going to win, however, 27-23.
I'm going Rams, too. I think they're the best team in the league.
It could be.
I really like Arizona, man, so I'll always pick them.
I do, too.
Arizona would be like my second or third team for me at this point.
I like both teams. And also, I mean, Matthew Stafford is a good option at quarterback.
Yeah.
He's been
They needed
great
a
so far.
good quarterback.
Yeah. And I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I hope it continues. I like watching them. Seahawks play the 49ers, another NFC West matchup here. Last week, we saw the Tyler Lockett game that we had been expecting.
Thank God.
As the Seahawks dropped to 1-2. What advice would you give fantasy managers with a Seahawk in this matchup, Justin?
If I remember correctly, I think some of the 49ers got banged up on defense this week.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like Metcalf. I like the mattress.
Yep.
I like Wilson this week. Lockett, I'm still going to bash him this week, so I put him as a low-tier flex option.
Oh, man, that's too low.
No, it is low.
That's too low.
I really like all of their main skill players.
Yeah, you got to start all those guys.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, if you drafted Tyler Lockett and you didn't know what you were getting yourself into, then you failed to prepare.
Like your roommate.
But, well, I mean, he might have known what he was getting himself into. I'm not discrediting him. I'm just saying if you drafted him, you have to expect there's going to be peaks and valleys throughout the season. Sure. And you don't know when they're going to come, so you have to keep starting him. You have to keep him in your lineup. Mm-hmm. So don't overreact because he had a bad game. He might have a few bad games, but you don't want him on your bench when he scores 30-plus points. Mm-hmm. So it's part of the risk with Tyler Lockett. Senni, can you name a 49ers wide receiver?
I knew you were going to say that. I knew it was going to be 49ers. No.
No?
I don't want to sit here and think when I know I don't know.
Yeah. So the two that you should know are Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel.
Both people who I knew existed, but I couldn't have placed them on a team.
Gotcha. Deebo has been great so far this season. Brandon Ayuk finally got involved in the offense last week with 4 catches and a touchdown. Commanders trust him in their lineups this week, Justin.
I think so. The Seahawks defenses look brutal.
That is true. I disagree with you, though.
Really?
They were very banged up in their running back room last week. They passed the ball more than I think they intended to. Trey Sermon does not look ready to handle a major workload. I want to see it again from Brandon Ayuk. Mm-hmm. If I can see him getting plenty of snaps, plenty of targets, then I'll trust him because I believe in his talent and I believe that he's coming back from an injury. But 1 week was not enough for me. Only 4 catches does not feel like enough for me to trust him.
Wasn't a lot of yards either.
No. So I want to see it again.
Sure.
But it was nice to see him back on the field. Seattle is the worst team against the run so far, but like I said, I have a hard time trusting a running back in this offense. If Elijah Mitchell is able to play, I may consider starting him as a flex option, but that would be it. Trey Sermon belongs on your bench unless you're really, really screwed. It's a tough one to pick. I think this is going to be a good game.
A lot of good matchups this week.
Yeah, it's a good week for football. I'm going to take Seattle 23-20.
I'm going to go Niners.
I'm still going with Seattle.
Yeah, it's going to be close, I think. Ravens play the Broncos this week. The Ravens narrowly defeated the Lions in part to a record 66-yard field goal by Justin Tucker.
Unbelievable.
I couldn't believe it.
Unbelievable.
Marquise Hollywood Brown dropped 3 would-be touchdowns against the Lions on Sunday. Do you expect him to bounce back this week?
No.
No?
I think he's going to drop 4.
Okay. Well, you just kind of sound like a hater to me.
No, yeah. Obviously, I don't think he's going to drop all 3. I think the Broncos are a wildly overrated team because I think they played 3 really bad teams.
Undefeated. I can't fucking believe it.
I think he's going to have a bounce back game.
Yeah,
I don't think he's going to put up 40 points, but
no, I
can see anywhere between the 15 to 20 point range.
the first 2 weeks of this season and the last few games of last season, he was more consistently solid as a wide receiver.
Yeah.
This is a bit of a tough matchup. I know that the schedule has been soft, but I do think Broncos have a good defense. Their offense, I think, looks better than it actually is, but their defense, I think, is legit. So I have mild concerns, but I'm still starting him. I'm still ranking him as a wide receiver 3. We shall see what happens, but I'm not as concerned with his dropsies. I like seeing that he's still getting targeted. They may even try to get him one early just so he gets some confidence back. Mm-hmm. Are the Broncos the most boring 3-0 team of all time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Steelers last year.
I was going to say it's either them or the Steelers last year.
I can't fucking believe the Broncos are 3-0, honestly.
They're very boring to watch. Melvin Gordon is a low-end running back, too. Javonte Williams is still a bench stash I like for later in the season, but Melvin Gordon has been the better guy thus far. No offense, a decent tight end. And the others, I think, are risky flex options at best. Cortland Sutton, I'm okay with starting. Tim Patrick, I'm okay with starting, but there's inherent risk in all those guys. Mm-hmm. I think the Ravens are going to win 20-16.
Yeah, I think the Ravens are going to win again, too.
I think the Broncos are going to unironically keep winning. Mm-hmm. I really just don't get it.
4-0.
I think I'll be fucking
They're
shocked.
They're going to go 12-0.
Especially against the Ravens. It just fucking blows my mind.
Next, we have the Steelers and the Packers.
I don't even want to fucking
I'm just going to, yeah.
Pittsburgh may be without Juju Smith-Schuster and or
that's the game changer.
Deontay Johnson. How does this impact the offense, Justin?
I mean, Ben can't throw the ball more than 8 yards down the field, so it's going to be a lot of those dump-off passes. I think Najee Harris stands to benefit a lot.
Well, as a person who has Najee Harris, I fucking love it.
Probably
he had, 11 catches last week?
14.
14?
On 19 targets.
That's insane.
Yes.
Ben threw the ball 58 times.
Yes. And he probably didn't throw it more than 2 yards at a time. He's just checking down to my guy every single time.
Gotta go.
I saw a highlight where he tripped over the yard line and checked the ball down to Najee Harris. I saw him trip over his own 2 feet and throw an interception to 3 guys in the same spot. I saw him check down to Najee Harris on 4th and 10 when he was down 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
He's got to retire, man.
Yeah.
I know.
They should honestly probably consider benching him at this point.
Yeah,
they don't have an heir apparent, which is a mistake. But
yeah, I agree. It's a fucking mistake.
But yeah.
I would have rather had Darnold.
Well, yeah, duh. I agree. That's a no-brainer.
Somebody reliable.
Instead of finishing the game this past weekend, I went grocery shopping.
Yeah, well,
I shut the game off and I bought food.
I think more of that is in your future. But Chase Claypool and Najee Harris stand to benefit the most.
Yeah.
They're going to have
Hope so.
not a lot of yards, but a lot of receptions. If Juju and Deontay Johnson play, obviously, I like both of those guys better than Claypool. But, yeah, high volume, a lot of throws, but not a lot of yards. Mm-hmm. So a lot of receptions. And in PPR formats, all of those are good.
Yeah.
Packers are good again. Are you starting anyone other than the Aarons and Adams?
If Dylan got more work, I would see him being a flex option, but
Yeah, he didn't, so he's
yeah,
not.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not starting anyone else.
Yeah, Robert Tunyon's a touchdown-dependent tight end, which I guess is true about all of them. But I don't think he's a top 10 option. Mm-hmm. I think even with only those 3 guys being fantasy relevant, Green Bay is going to win 34-16.
Yeah, Green Bay's going to win.
There's no game I fucking care about more this entire year, and I just can't fucking say it, but we know.
Yeah.
I just fucking can't, man.
I'm going to turn my phone off. If
I'm going to be
me on
fucking
Sunday.
miserable.
He asked me to go to this game. I'm like, I'm not flying to
I remember.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's distract you guys from that and talk about Sunday Night Football.
We've been waiting all day for Sunday night.
Senni, what have you been waiting all day to talk about?
I've been waiting all day to talk about terrible driving.
Ooh.
So now I originally thought something else like kind of sparked this in me, but now that I think about it, I've been getting a lot of feedback from kids telling me that they got in accidents or got tickets recently, and it's way too frequent. I've had at least 3 kids tell me that they totaled their cars.
Yeah, that's their fault then.
Jesus.
I had another kid tell me that they got a ticket, 3 tickets in one time getting pulled over. And then they told me that was not their first time getting pulled over. They haven't had their license for less than a year. So
Incredible.
I think they're just handing out licenses to anyone now.
Oh, absolutely.
So anyway, I was thinking about like what are some of like the big things that like I see most people doing on the road that have been bothering me forever that people keep doing. So my first and most obvious one is the turn signal. I've been complaining about the turn signal since I was at least 19, and it's horrific just to every day be on the highway and see people changing lanes no matter where you are. No turn signal.
Yeah.
I don't know how they get away with it.
It's also dangerous.
I just think it's nuts. Like I don't know how people get away with it. And some people, like I'll watch them do it. Like it's not one time. It's like I watch them consistently do it.
Yeah, just work like weaving in and out.
Yeah. Another one very common as they claim it's here is of course the Jersey sweep, which is changing all the way from the left to the right lane.
To get your exit.
Yep. People got to be in the left lane for as long as possible. And the reason why I hate it so much is a lot of time it is combined with no turn signal.
Yeah.
And people just fucking coming across, and it's honestly horrific.
It's always paired with the driver going, oh shit, and then
Realizing. But the big one that kills me all the time is every time I go home, I take a left turn from a light that does not always do a left arrow. I am a firm believer that every fucking light in the world should have a left arrow light. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I just don't understand why that's not standard.
You know what I don't like? When only one side has it.
That's my point. Every single fucking time the light changes, both sides should get a left arrow.
Yeah.
Every light, like in the world, it should be standard. So, like my light by my house it's like 3 fucking seconds that arrow comes up. So if you're not one of the first 2 cars, you're not making it. And what I hate is when you are getting the yellow as you left turn, that person going straight just says fuck you and keeps going.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's like 2 or 3 people behind them. And like I'm slowly learning that if you're turning left, you're basically turning at the red.
Oh, yeah.
Like a lot of times, like I feel like
Absolutely.
that's like that like you're not turning until after the light turns red.
Yeah, you wait in the intersection.
Yeah.
And then you go.
Yeah.
And I think it's horrific that like when we drive, we actually specifically know we're gonna run a red light almost every time you're turning left.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you said, I really think it should be standard. Everybody gets a left turn arrow.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are my big ones. I don't know if you guys had things about driving aside from that you hate that you see people do.
Oh, yeah. I'll go first. I hate, like, if you're driving on, like, Turnpike, 295, 130, anything like that, after somebody changes lanes, this is when they have their turn signal on. They leave it on. And they just keep driving. Because I don't know, I always feel afraid to go around them because I'm like, oh, maybe they're going to turn. And they just leave it on. So sometimes I'll turn mine on in hopes that they'll look in the mirror and say, this jackass has his light on, and then looks down. It has worked once for me. I've done it so many times.
They have to hear it. You know,
Yeah, and that's what I'm
it makes a
saying.
noise.
And then I don't like if somebody cuts me off and they drive like, with no sense of urgency.
Oh yeah, that's my
Oh my
biggest
god,
pet.
Yeah.
dude! I
They'll
get
cut me
so
off like
much.
on Sunset Road if it happens. They'll cut me off and they'll do 25, and I'm like,
Yeah.
you gotta fucking move because I have to poop. Like get out of the way.
But it's like annoying. It's almost like they're doing it on purpose.
Yeah,
like
I
they get in
think
front
they
of
do.
you just to stop you.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah, if you're gonna cut me off, you gotta at least speed.
Yeah, you got to fucking
Yeah, make
booking
it worth my while to cut me off.
Exactly. I absolutely get that.
Vince, you got something?
Yeah, I got a couple. Ever since moving into the city, I have witnessed a lot of bad driving. Specifically, that red lights are pretty much just stop signs.
They're suggestions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, we're getting to that. Yeah, red lights are just stop signs, and then all other signs are just suggestions. Like I've seen people pull up to a red light, wait for a second, and then just speed through. I've seen
my God.
I've seen people not stop. There was one night I was coming back actually from the podcast, and my GPS took me the weird way through the city. We're on like little roads. We're on small roads, and this guy must have been doing about 85 miles an hour.
Insane.
Damn.
It was
Nuts,
it's
man.
absolutely insane how these people are driving. But one of the ones that really pisses me off the most is when you're behind someone in the left lane going fast, and they're slow, and then you go around them, and then they get
And then
over.
they
My
speed
God,
up.
that
so
pisses
fucking
me
annoying.
Or you get over and then they speed up.
Yeah,
That pisses me off so much.
Agreed. 100% agreed. Yeah, you guys pretty much covered it. One last thing I would add, I may have talked about this before. I hate when I'm turning out of a parking lot onto like a small highway, like a Route 130 type, and there's a car in the right lane, and there aren't any cars in the middle or the
And they
left
don't get
lane,
over.
and they don't move over, and
Yeah.
they drive slow as fuck, and I have to wait, and then a mass of cars comes, and I have to wait forever. Just move over, man.
Yeah.
Take you 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Pain in the ass.
Yep, horrific.
Speaking of moving, Tom Brady
I'm moving on out.
returns to New England.
I would have been waiting all day for this game. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't think it's going to be a good one. We'll get there. Tom Brady for now. How do you think his offense is going to perform this game, Justin?
I think, as a whole, the offense is going to perform well. I think there's going to be one guy on that offense, whoever Belichick deems is the biggest target, that's going to have a dud.
Mike
It
Evans.
might, yeah, I was going to say it's probably going to be Mike Evans.
I would agree.
So I would probably boost Chris Godwin a little bit this week. I think Gronk, if he's healthy and plays, could have a huge game because it's going to be a homecoming for him as well.
Yeah, revenge game.
Yeah. So I like Brady and I like Gronk this week, and then like I said, I like Godwin.
I like Antonio Brown as well. I would be starting all of those guys, really. Even Mike Evans, like I do agree. I think Belichick's going to try to take him away, but I can't imagine benching him. I just can't. Too much draft capital, too much of a chance for a touchdown.
Sure.
He's got to stay in your lineup, but I am tempering my expectations with him. Not starting any running back. Tom Brady led the team in rushing last week,
Yeah.
which is funny.
I already got rid of Rojo, and Fournette's on his way out too.
Yeah. As for New England, fun fact, Mac Jones also led the team in rushing. So
Incredible.
2 mobile quarterbacks facing off head-to-head next week. I think the game script is going to be similar to what it was last week for New England. I'm not advising starting Damian Harris this week. I think Jacoby Myers has a chance to be a decent flex play in deep leagues. But for the most part, I think this is going to be a bit of a blowout, especially coming off a loss. I think Brady has something to prove. I think the Bucs are going to win 38-13.
So pick the Bucs.
Yeah, of course. I don't even think it's a question, honestly.
Our last game of the week, the Raiders and the Chargers.
Go Chargers.
The Raiders outlasted Miami in overtime last week. Is there anyone on this offense you're starting other than Darren Waller?
I really like Derek Carr. I think he's playing very well this
He
year.
has,
too.
that's true.
If you don't have a quarterback that you're 100% confident in, I like him picking him up and starting him.
Yeah, this could be a shootout too.
Yeah.
The Chargers' offense has been great so far. What about Josh Jacobs if he returns from injury, or any running back for that matter?
I think if Jacobs returns, I like him the most. But I'm not super sold on their entire backfield. It's more of a committee now, and I don't think it's playing in any of their favors, really.
Yeah, Jacobs needs a touchdown to be fantasy relevant.
Yeah.
Peyton Barber is the Josh Jacobs role. Kenyon Drake's role does not change regardless of whether or not Jacobs plays. I don't like any of them either.
Yeah.
I think they're all flex plays at best. With another strong performance last week for the Chargers, is Mike Williams a roster lock, Justin?
He is for me.
Yeah, and me too. 22 points or more each week this season, 7 or more catches each week. I mean, his average depth of target is way down from previous seasons, so he just needed an offensive coordinator who
Plays
gives
to his
him
strengths.
Yeah, gives him a chance to do more than just try to moss somebody and hurt
Yeah.
his back every week. I mean, they would just throw go routes to him all day, and he'd get hurt, and then he'd miss 7 weeks, and then we'd be like, oh, this Mike Williams guy sucks, which was me in the preseason. But I overlooked the fact that the offense may actually cater to his strengths. He's been excellent so far. Wide receiver 2 on the year so far in terms of fantasy points. Lock him in, set it and forget it. Him and Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler. I think it's going to be another good game to end the week. I'm going to take the Chargers 26-20.
It's tough. I really like both teams. I think the Raiders are going to be able to muster out another win.
Wow. How about that, the Raiders?
I do like the Raiders more, but I'm picking the Chargers.
All right, should be a good game. Should
Yeah, I
be
think
a
it should
good
be a great
good
game.
slate of good slate of games this
Yep.
week, guys. I'm very excited for week 4. Danny, we're gonna go hit you with a golf ball. Okay, here we are for Danny's punishment. Back in the trusty backyard. Last season, Danny got shot in the ass with a paintball gun. And this year, Vince gets to drive a massive shot into him from close range. So without further ado, let's just get into it, and you can get it over with.
You're both in view?
Yo, I'm done. That was so funny.
Are you recording, Matt?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Ooh.
Did he nail you like right in the ass again?
No, that was back of the thigh.
Back of the thigh. Damn.
It might be better.
Yeah, nice and medium. It wasn't nice.
Well, I'm glad you suffered through it, Danny. Thank you for accepting your punishment and taking it like that.
Absolutely.
All right. That's going to do it for this week's episode of the Fantasy Beer League. We'll be with you every Wednesday on YouTube with audio-only podcasts available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, or I'm going to send Vince to your house with 1,000 actual golf balls, and he's going to set drives into your windows and your car windows and into your bedroom and your pee-pee. I'm Sean Joyce. He's Justin Giel, and here's Matt Senni with his advice of the week.
If you're not going to use your turn signal, get the fuck off the road.
Get the fuck off the road. Good luck in week 4. Thank you for watching.